By the time we're around 24 to 28, our mind has solidified on our worldview for the most part. And this is a survival tactic in evolution, that if you have made it this long, what you did works, don't deviate, you have learned. When people are then presented with worldly information that contradicts their worldview, it is a threat to them, which is why they get angry and shut down or have panic attacks. Mm-hmm. We have heard it over and over again from people like Brandon, that when they were finally exposed to undeniable information, it was physically painful. They felt physical pain. It was like something was being purged from them. People will resist that pain like a drug addict, which means you have to be careful, tactful, and precise when you're talking to them, when you're sharing information with them. If you approach someone as an enemy, they will shut down.
Of course.
If you approach them as a friend, they will open up. So don't argue with your family members, insult them, listen to what they say and what they're concerned with, and then be like, wow, I didn't know that. Check out this video. And then just send them the twerking.
You don't have to agree or disagree too. You can understand something without agreeing or disagreeing with it.
Well, remember, you're not using argument in the traditional way. Look, when I go to a court, when I'm doing a case, I got 12 people and they've got to sit there and the judge will yell at them if they're not listening. So they have to at least receive it. Whether I can convince them or not, it's a different question. That's the power of my evidence, power of my presentation. When you're trying, Tim's absolutely right. When you're trying to convince somebody to get out of the leftist cult, you have to let them want to do it. And remember, there's a lot of pride, because if you find yourself in a position where you're defending tighty whitey guy twerking in front of kids, and you understand at some level that's bad, you're ashamed because you've done that. Mm-hmm. You don't have to rub their face in it. Let them come around.
Although
they got to talk themselves out of it.
A lot of times they don't want to, right? It feels good to be in a situation where everyone agrees with you.
But
it is
for boomers. That tidy whitey video is like a giant red suppository.
Right. No good. It ought to be
quite the pill.
It's a painful wake up call for a lot of people.
A lot of people didn't know it was that bad.
Yeah.
And exactly, we've heard that where people have told us like, oh, my family member says that's not true. That can't be happening. We had Richie McGinnis's mom, old school feminist. Yeah. And we're sitting here and I said, feminists are pro-war. And she was like, no, they aren't. And then I said, okay,
what's with all the
let's clarify that. Mm-hmm. The people who wore the pink pussy hats are substantially more likely to be the ones waving the flags of Ukraine, advocating for U.S. intervention in Eastern Europe into war. And she went, what? And Richie, her son, says,
it's true.
Yeah, actually, that's true.
Correct.
And she's older. And so I said, listen, I think the issue is, you're older, you're kind of tuned out to what's going on in the world, and the younger generation is on the battlefront that you aren't watching. Mm-hmm. So you can't believe any of these things happen, but crazy. You need to listen and watch and look through the window and see what's out your front door. And tidy whitey man is that cold slap in the face for the boomer generation.
Look, anything that involves kids is really going to be, the nitrous oxide that you add to the supercharger and the engine just goes way into the red. I mean, the idea that Virginia, which is a blue state, would put somebody named like Glenn Youngkin in, who is a fairly conservative guy. He's not, 180 pounds of Miracle Whip stuffed in a $5,000 suit like Mitt Romney is. Okay, I mean he's actually
Miracle Whip is a great insult.
Yeah, it's really nice. Yeah.
It's not even mayo. Mayo is a proud condiment. Miracle Whip. He's just so basic. But no, he's actually conservative, and the people of Virginia chose him, and the reason they did it was, kids coming home going, Mom, Dad, why are you all racist?
Yeah.
This happened to me. This happened after the George Floyd stuff, right? And we were doing the virtual learning because of stupid COVID. And I heard an announcement on the classroom computer screen that there was going to be a 2-day lesson on, systemic racism and white privilege. And I'm looking at that. I'm looking at my kid who I believe, 4th grade? Has it been that long? Who was like, the only white kid in his class. We live in a very immigrant neighborhood in Brooklyn, which I like my neighborhood. And he was like, I was like, okay, I'm going to record this whole thing. I put on the voice recorder for the full 2 days. I wrote about it. But afterward, and I talked to my son about it, and he was like, Mom, we're racist. And I was like, we're not racist, honey. And he's like, well, or my grandparents are racist. I was like, they're totally not. My parents are not racist either. Well, our great grandparents are. We went through the whole thing, and I was like, your great grandmom taught at like integrated schools in Brownsville, Brooklyn.